Morning folks, a steering wheel adapter finally arrived, all the way from China. This boss kit is number 1. Please enjoy your car life universal type. I mean, how bad can it be, right? So I have an S13 steering column and a aftermarket Fittipaldi steering wheel with the usual 6 holes to screw it in. So you would need a hub adapter for that, so I ordered this from China. It's a kind of universal boss adapter. Let's just say the quality isn't great. I'll give you a closer look. This is just a rubber sleeve. I think it goes on that way, just to hide all the nonsense going on, and there is a lot of nonsense. First of all, this hole here, look at the quality of that machining. Did someone just chew that out? In fact, I think that was chewed out by the guy from Live or Let Die, or The Spy Who Loved Me. You know, the Jaws guy? I mean, look. Quality. It's so bad that the wire here, the wire has frayed as it was in its box traveling to my destination. That's pretty bad, right? Seriously awful engineering. But that's not the bad part, believe it or not. The bad part is actually the splines. Let's see if we can examine the splines. I don't know if you can see that. First of all, they're not exactly centered. And also, they're not exactly splined. You got a spline on this side, but the splines on that side are kind of an afterthought. Absolutely no way that would be safe to install in a car. The good news is, I contacted Amazon and pretty much instantly got a refund. So, I mean, it wasn't like majorly expensive. It was like $40, but still $40, which could really destroy your entire car. It's scary. It's scary what they think would pass. But that's what happens when you take the risk and buy garbage from China. I'm not saying all stuff from China is garbage, but I think we can agree that is garbage. However, it will do for mock-up until I can get a decent quality one. So, what am I doing then? Let me show you. As I mentioned, this is a Nissan S13 steering column. Unfortunately, the adjuster is gone, so I'm going to have to fabricate some sort of adjusting mechanism, or I could just weld it in place. I mean, it rotates fine, nice and smooth, no problem at all. I do need to make some sort of join there. This locking mechanism is obviously broken. First of all, there's no key, and that shouldn't be spinning without a key because these have got a built-in steering lock, so I'm going to be cutting that off. So under that sort of once only clamp here, normally you would, when you're building this, you would bolt them in and then snap off the heads so that you can never get them off again. So I need to cut that off. So I'm going to cut that off and throw on this boss kit, throw on the steering wheel, make sure all works. And then, if I've got time today, I'll pull the project out and see if we can do some sort of fabrication to mount the steering column to the frame. It's not really a car yet. Or I could just say, stuff that, it's a lovely day, go out for a drive in a hot rod. Nah, let's at least get this thing off, get this piece of garbage on, get the steering wheel on, and see if it works. There we go then. That sort of looks pretty decent. Just a shame it's complete junk. Oh well, at least I know what to look for and what works if I get a higher quality one. Anyway, that spins quite nice. Now I need to figure out how I'm going to attach it at the back end. I think I've got something over there somewhere, over there in that box there. So I found my rag joint or whatever it's called, but as you can see, it's kind of old and crappy. But one thing I've learned from building the hot rod, which I'm going to use that experience to build this, is nothing is set in stone. You can make it up as you go along. If it's wrong, you do it again until you get it right. So I think I'm not going to use this other than maybe a mock-up, but not today. Today I want to try and install my steering column onto the frame somehow. As I mentioned in a previous video, this is a tilt column, but the tilt lock mechanism is not there. So either I need to make a new form of lock or find another column, but if I find another column, there's no point in taking that part off. I might as well use that column. So for now, I want this kind of straight, because when it's straight, it can still go down and it can go up. So I want it in the middle for setting the bracketry to hold this onto the frame. So for now, I'm going to use this handy little bolt, pop it in there, and that's it in the middle. And that's enough just to allow me to set the brackets. It's going to join there and down there. So of course, I couldn't mount this until I got the steering wheel on, and I couldn't get the steering wheel on until I got the boss. Reason being, when I install this, that's in place. It won't move back and forward. So the seat's where it's supposed to be, the steering wheel is where it's supposed to be. So now I can mock this into the frame position, sit in the seat, reach the steering wheel, and I should know exactly where the steering wheel is going to be. The seat will move back and forward a little bit, so it will allow some adjustment, but that's all I need for now to get this mounted somehow. This will be fun. Under there somewhere. Something like that. Let's get started. Okay, here's the plan. Steering column is in the approximate position. I'm going to line it up the center of the column with that dot there. Not the center there, but the center of that dot. So about there. It's actually going to come up about that height. So I'm going to run a bar from here over to there over to there, and then probably a gusset on the underside, because I think I'm going to need this panel as flat as possible. Once that's in position, I can then work out how I'm going to mount these two holes. Again, I'll probably run a bar across here and then a plate welded to that bar. Some captive bolts and the captive nuts in the top so I can screw it from the underside, and the same with this side. Right, I better go and prepare some steel. There we go. 2 steering column bracket arms. I even used my new TIG welder to weld these little bolts in place, because I'm going to be using the TIG welder to weld these on. I'm not going to weld them completely, I'll tack them on for now. So let me show you how we're going to do that. I will place each of these in their slots. I will then put a nut on the underside, tighten that up. Now the good thing is here, as you may notice, we've got slots here. So I don't need to be super exact where I weld these. So as I say, I'll tighten these up, and then because of that angle I've bent in, it'll come to about there. And I'll tack these, they'll be sitting about that sort of angle. And then when I'm happy with that and I've done everything else, I can get a couple of gussets on the underside to go from the underside of this bracket down to the frame. So let's get on with welding these on. That'll do it. So now I can remove the bungee cords. And then tighten up these nuts. And try and centre it as I do this. See what I mean about having a little bit of forward back adjustment at the moment? That's not going to be future adjustable once it's attached to the actual steering column, but it will help me position it for the next step. Which I won't really know until I'm sitting in the car. So let's do that. Oh yeah. Perfect. Right, next. I need to make some sort of bracket that these two holes can mount to. So, and that's at an angle. So I need to go and do some trigonometry or mathematics or whatever it is, work it out. That's seriously solid already. A little bit of flex obviously because I don't have gussets in those things, but it's looking good so far. Right, calculations. Okay, I have the main support bar cut to size. That'll go in there. And then from this down to there, I will make a couple of L brackets out of this, which isn't as thick as the 1/4 inch steel, but it should be thick enough, and I'll add gussets to that as well. Okay, see you in a minute. It's not the worst thing I've ever done. I'll give you a closer look. These big welds are pretty ugly, but they're pretty solid as well. I know I get good penetration with them. The crossbar was just awful. That was horrible. I'm going to have to completely redo that. Yeah, I was expecting it to expand a bit more than it did, and it left a bit of a gap, so I've got some filling to do. These little brackets, they actually welded really nice, and that's what I was going to have or that's what I thought I was going to have trouble with. Obviously, I've still not welded at the sides, and I've got to add gussets. I can't quite decide if I want a gusset on that side or that side, because obviously I'm going to need access to the top unless I weld these bolts in place. Not quite decided. I don't want to fully commit yet. So I will do a final jump in the car, see how it feels. This would be much easier with a door. Put my locking bolt in. Lovely. Yeah, I've got plenty of adjustment, well, once I get the adjuster, but yeah. I might even be able to just use that to get in and out of the car rather than getting a removable boss kit. That's a lot of range, happy with that. Angle wise, distance wise. Oh. Jam my finger. Behave. Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, summary. You know what? I think I will redo those lower L shapes. Metal's not quite as thick as I'd like. Excuse me. The metal at the top is thicker than it needs to be, but if that's all I've got, I'd rather go too thick than too thin. So yeah, I'll probably redo them. And there's a lot of underside welding required, both on those brackets and the whole frame. So I'm not going to get too caught up in that, because once I'm happy with where everything's going to go, I'll be stripping everything off, turning the frame upside down, welding the whole lot in at once. Anyway, that's the result. I've got a steering wheel and a steering column. Pretty happy with that. Thanks for watching. Lots to come. Kind of got my mojo back, as you've probably noticed. The last month has been a bit slow, but we're back on it. And it's almost Christmas, and I'm getting some toys. Take care, everyone, and thanks again to all my patrons. Love you all. Bye-bye. I'm going to go and make broom broom noises. If it starts.